Hey YouTube, Awesome Rider here. Welcome to my review for the God Tarantula mech that's going to become our Tarantula Knight from Ohsama Sentai King-ohger, Spider-Kumonos' mech. And this is the set that comes with the main one as well as his two auxiliaries that become the weapons, the Cicada and the Centipede here, which are pretty simple. Honestly, I'll just go over them first because there's not a lot to go over. They're both fairly small and fairly cheap. There's nothing much to them. I think you can buy these separately as well. Yeah, you can buy them separately as well, but there's not too much to write home about, on their own. But they're overall pretty cool for what they are. Like, the Cicada's pretty neat. It's a little bit like kind of a gross bug. I mean, I guess it is a bug. That was kind of a stupid thing to say, but you know what I mean. It just looks kind of gross, to be honest. But I do like the way it becomes the weapon. You kind of have to like finagle these around. There's like a little bit of see, they pop off pretty easily if you get it wrong because these little joints are kind of loose. But you kind of finagle it around so that these kind of pop out here and become these little blades, and then it's just going to attach onto here like this little blade weapon. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty like simple, but it's pretty effective. Like, it's just a cicada whose his wings become weapons, which is really cool. And he also hunts down metahumans in season 5 of The Flash. Then you've got the Centipede, which I think is even more simplistic looking. Like, you can barely see its little eyes. It almost looks like just a stick. Like, it's a little bit less interesting looking than the Cicada on its own. However, I like its creativity in regards to its weapon the most. Like, it's the easiest to transform. You just basically fold it here into like a J, and then you fold this up here, and it's going to snap on there. And it's basically like a saw weapon, and like it's not the most interesting on its own, but as far as a weapon, it's actually pretty cool. Like, that's pretty creative using the sort of the way the Centipede looks with its legs making it a saw blade. That's overall pretty neat. As far as our main event here, he's actually a pretty cool looking mecha. I really like him. He has a lot of my favorite word for these King-ohger reviews, personality, with the little eyes up here almost looking like traffic lights. That translates a bit to his mecha design with the helmet as well. But I really like the white gold color scheme. I think it plays pretty well, and I think overall it does a pretty good job. And you can finagle this a little bit more to have this pointed a little different, the arms and stuff pointed a little different. These keep folding back in, but I think for the most part it finagles pretty well in regards to like transforming and presenting as a spider and then presenting as a robot. Like, you can tell it transforms, but it does a pretty good job of hiding it compared to some others. It gets a little wonky when you're trying to shift everything around. So like when I'm doing the transformation montage, I'm going to definitely do that because sometimes you get kind of turned around because it's a little bit complicated. But it's like simple, yet once you get the hang of it, it. But otherwise, it's a little complicated sometimes. But in terms of just presenting itself in the transformation, it looks overall pretty cool, and it feels overall pretty solid. It's kind of in the same general lane as the quality of General Lane from Superman and Lois, which is a great show. You should watch it. No, but what I meant was in the same general lane of quality as we've been getting from past Sentai Mecha as well. And you have these little bits here too, which are kind of articulated for personality, which is fun. So yeah, overall solid mecha. I do really dig the design and appreciate the transformation. But now let's actually get him transformed. And there we pretty much have him. You can finagle him a little bit more, kind of crouching down or moving the head around and stuff like that. And it's a little bit complicated. It can get confusing the way you see it. Like, I just always try to remember that these little tops that look kind of like the caps of something have to go forward, but you have to sort of flip them around and then like swap the places of the arms, which is just kind of awkward. It can be kind of fun and unique, and it makes it like simple yet complicated in a weird way. But it makes for a really good looking mecha. Again, same general quality feel. It doesn't feel loose or honestly all that cheap. Like, again, Sentai Mecha plastic has gotten a little bit cheap over the years, but this overall feels solid. And you obviously have a lot of great articulation here with the legs here. You can bend here at the knees. You can bend the knee to Draneris Targaryen. You got the arm articulation here. You can see you got the chest articulation, which is a little bit part of the transformation, but it also gives you some good options there. As well as the head is very articulated. It's really cool to be in this era of more articulated mecha, both for Sentai and Power Rangers. And this one in particular, being kind of based off of this spy idea, is just overall really cool. Those do pop off a lot, though. You might have seen them pop off in the transformation. I know I'm going to be editing it a little bit, but they popped off a couple times just because they don't have the greatest fit on there. Oh yeah, I almost forgot too. Of course, this bit here can be used as kind of like a blaster weapon in addition to the other weapons you can get from there, but that's kind of the basic package you get in regards to the main release. But I'm overall happy with this on its own. Honestly, like when I first saw the pictures of it, I'm like, yeah, I like that okay, but I didn't like it as much as I thought. But after seeing it in the show and the toy pics and then owning it in person, I really like it a lot. I definitely like King-ohger, but I like this a little bit more in terms of the design. I love the color scheme of the white and gold. I love the theme of it. It's just overall a really cool looking mech on its own. And obviously is going to combine with the other 9 or 10 or whatever it is, which I'll show off in a second. And as much as I like to display those big combos, and we'll probably do it at the end of the series, I'm going to leave this on its own with it because it just looks really cool and I really like it. And setting aside the combination, I can definitely recommend picking this up if you're a fan. It's really cool. And like I mentioned, of course, you have the weapons over here that they attach, just like the other King-ohger weapons. You got this kind of mechanism here where it snaps onto this system right here. So it's kind of its own little, that's like, you know, crudely put on there, but you get the idea of what I mean. And if you get the set, you get all 3 of those together. But now we're going to transform it with the main mecha and just get it prepped for it. It's actually fairly simple. All you do is basically prep it and then smack it onto the back of it. That's what she said. Alright, there we basically have our combination there. It's a bit of a mess. I actually switched to a lower camera angle and a different tripod because the higher up one was making it look even weirder. Like, to be honest, I do like this transformation in terms of the concept of the design. Like, I like that you just basically snap it onto the back, and you can finagle it to get it to look a little bit better, but I do like that in the simplicity, because sometimes you'll have mecha formations where you add on a mecha where you have to basically completely upend what you did before, and I like that this kind of works with the existing system, and it doesn't necessarily change the spirit of this, it just kind of makes it bigger, and I just really like the way the helmet looks too. It just kind of adds to it. So I like it conceptually, and in terms of like the design, the way it looks in the show, the design of the mecha I do like. However, it's not the most fun to deal with in regards to transformation, as it's a bit messy and clunky, and you're always having pieces popping off right and left, especially, you know, when you're trying to do it on camera, which is why it was a little bit of a quick transformation. You know, it's hard enough when you're doing it on your own, but then when you're trying to work around the camera, it's just not that fun to work with. And for mine, he can't stand. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's like, oh, if you do such and such, it'll stand, but mine just does not want to stand right in the right ways. And also my King-ohger's legs are getting loose, so that's why his legs look like he's like buckling, because his legs being loose makes it hard for him to stand in a normal looking position, so I kind of got him in the best position we could. Hey-oh. But like I said, conceptually I do like it. I like that it just adds onto it in a way that doesn't upend the existing system, but it's not all that fun to transform altogether. But I do appreciate that you can do it. Like, I like that All Might collection, and you can even find a place for Snail and Roly-Poly. Like, you can snap Snail on the back of the sword back here, and then, like, Roly-Poly can go in his hand. So I like that I can put everything in one big combo if I just want to have it on the shelf and save space. And we know from the leaks that the final mecha is going to combine, so it'll be interesting to see how that holds up. But setting that aside, I absolutely do really like this mecha a lot, to be honest. I have a lot of fun with it just by itself, transforming from the Tarantula to the main Megazord. I like the main Megazord's design a lot. You know, it helps that I really like Spider-Kumonos, but I'm really happy with it just by itself. And you know, the individual little weapons, which I was just trying to pick up and dropped, but the individual little weapons are overall pretty fun as well and a nice addition. So I could recommend them even just on his own if you don't have King-ohger. However, if you have King-ohger and the others, I can definitely recommend it, even though it's a bit of a mess to transform. It's cool to be able to have that synergy, and it's cool to build towards the larger combination. But that's about it for this one, guys. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.